Sister, you'll never believe.
Nor will you. I have never been so excited.
I simply had to find you.
And to think, I've been here all the time looking for you. I have such marvelous news.
I am sure it must be, but even more sure that mine is more so.
There is no possible way that can be.
Then let me speak and I will prove it.
And I will as soon as I have spoken first.
But I must tell you mine. You will be so delighted for me.
As will you for me, my dear Marina. Won't you give me the privilege of being the elder and allow me to say mine first?
Well, I'm quite certain the whatever's is nothing compared to what my heart is bursting to tell you.
Which must no doubt be entirely inconsequential to the raptures I'm nearly dying to speak of.
Well, if you'll not hear mine first, I'll not hear yours at all.
Nor I yours. I hope the cold stone of your grave covers your ears from any mention of my glorious news.
And I pray that with your dying breath you beg to part the faintest hint of how my fortunes have favored this morning. But I'll let you grow as grizzled grace, and you'll go before I let you know the least of it.
And yet you must know.
And you.
That I am to be married.
As indeed am I.
Then Tomato has proposed to you?
And Sirio to you.
This very morning.
Oh, sister, I am so delighted. When did Sirio say he'd come to ask our father for your hand?
I expect him any moment. And Tomato?
I expect him any moment, and it will not take long, for as you know, my dear Tomato says very little.
If he has said he loves my dear sister so much as to marry her, then he has said enough. Will not our little Celia be amazed to learn that both her sisters, in a single morning, have become engaged?
I cannot wait to tell her.
No, but I will tell her first.
I dare say you will not.
Let us not quarrel over it, but let it be her choice, as she comes upon us now.
Yes, let it be her choice, and she's always liked me best.
Sisters, I've been so desperate to find you.
We have great news.
But you must make a difficult choice.
I know I do, but how is it you come to hear of it so soon?
Hear of what, my dear?
That I am to be married. When Pomposa heard from Sirio and Tomidio that they were intent on asking for your hand, he decided to make up the same request of me.
My dear, I could not be happier for you. Pomposa is the closest friend of my own dear Sirio. Now thanks to us, they shall be brothers.
And Pomposa's father is as wealthy as any man in the world. You'll want for nothing.
Only for your advice. You see, Pomposa was not the first man in the morning to propose. There has been another who has asked me to be his wife.
I am shocked to find that proposals are so common this season, and that you should have two, whereas your elder sisters are left with only one.
Who is the second gentleman?
Why, Signor Giovio.
Giovio?
For heaven's sake, not Giovio.
The fellow's a fool.
And a rascal.
Certainly you did think his proposal to you was serious. He never says or does anything except he means it as some sort of joke.
The very reason I prefer him. He makes me laugh.
Giovio makes everyone in Alviano laugh, but the whole town has a plan to marry him.
If the whole town did plan to marry him, that might prove he was worth considering as a husband.
You are in advice, and here it is. Accept Signor Pomposa's proposal, and leave Giovio to consider what manner he may be worthy of a woman's opinion, for certainly he does not have mine.
Nor mine, my dear Celia.
It seems, my friend, we have come upon a secret conference among sisters.
I'm sure it can be no other than their satisfaction at our impending marriages.
That is some of our topic, but not the sum of it completely.
Giovio has asked her Celia to consider him in marriage.
Then mine is not the only offer?
I'm sorry, Signor Pomposa, it is not.
Surely you've not accepted him.
No, she has not, and we're at the point of counseling her against it, in favor of your proposal.
I'm glad to learn you lean to more of my desires than his, which I would expect.
And be sure, when I speak to Senor Delirium, part of my pleading will be on your behalf.
Before you speak with my dear father, there is something that you should know.
Indeed there is.
If any here to need some counsel, it's to your Tomidio, who, though a little late behind us, has finally arrived.
My darling Tomidio, why have you taken so long? You see that Sirio and Pomposa have been here long before you.
Dearest, I've been waiting outside, standing like a soldier at the front door for the last 10 minutes.
For 10 minutes? Would no one let you in?
No, I was afraid to knock.
Certainly, you're not saying you're afraid to marry me.
Certainly not. I'm more afraid not to marry you than anything else. But I was afraid that if I knocked, your father would answer. And if he answered, he would see me. And if he saw me, he would want to know I was there. And if I said to marry Marina, he would say why, and then what would I say?
Because I love her madly.
And be sure, these are the very words Senor Pomposa and I have come to profess regarding my darling Teresa and her sister.
Which is more than be said for my roguish rival, Giovio.
Yes, where is Giovio? If his proposal to you had been serious, he would no doubt have been here by now.
Your sister is right. I think the intentions of his nature show most assuredly in his failure to be here to receive your father's blessings.
Very likely another one of his tricks, and his proposal is meant to make a fool of you.
Or of me, by absurdly placing himself as a competitor for your affections.
Perhaps you are right. Still, whenever I spoke with him earlier, I was convinced he would come to make some overture to Papa.
That I am sad to say is Giovio. Through and through, no one succeeds as he does, making a person believe he's doing one thing, while he gets the better of him, while he does another. But hopefully, you will judge my worthiness by the one deed that matters the most, the swift determination to stand before your father and ask him your hand in marriage, which I will do as soon as you or your sisters bring me to him.
As will I.
And I. My darling, I gladly will, but be forewarned, our father's mind is of a very tender disposition.
Then he must surely want you to be happy, and what could make you happier than becoming my wife?
And yet, Teresa is right. There's something you should consider before.
Daughters, my darling, darling daughters.
Yes, Father?
Such news, such wonderful, wonderful news.
What is it, Father?
Oh, you shall be so happy. I have just received word that one of you is to be married.
Then you know of it already?
I do, my dear, I do.
I'm glad, Senor, that my intentions have reached your ears so quickly and that you should embrace them with such fervor and such favor.
And good sir, who are you?
I'm Senor Bartolo Celia, and I've come to ask for the hand of your eldest daughter, Teresa.
Well, I am amazed. 2 proposals in one day.
Then, Father, you must have heard that Senor Tomidio is going to request my hand of you as well.
No, I had not. 3 proposals and all in a single morning. Astonishing.
Senor, I'm glad that my intentions toward your daughter have sped their way so quickly to your understanding. Be sure, I have come here this very morning to strike the bargain in person.
And who are you, good sir?
I am Giovanni Pomposa, the very fellow you've been speaking of.
Sir, you are mistaken. I am speaking of someone else entirely. I have been in serious conversation with him this last half hour about the prospect of wedding my dear Celia.
Speaking with whom?
And where?
In my study. And his name is... Oh, I'm sure he told me his name. It is...
Giovio.
Giovio.
Senor Giovio.
Giovio. That's it. That's it exactly. Oh, sir, do come in. It appears everybody here already knows you.
This man, sir, has not fit a reputation to be your daughter's husband. He's known to be the most notorious scoundrel in town. And if my being his rival makes my opinion suspect, ask Eddie here. These 2 gentlemen, and even your 2 eldest daughters, will echo the same unfortunate estimation of them.
Of course they will. First of all, because it is true, Signor. And that should be nothing to you. With the truth being so variable in nature, why it is that the wind blows west today, but only last week it gusted southerly, and very hard too.
So it did. I remember it well. It blew my hat off in the square.
I've always believed you cannot be too careful with the weather. One never knows what dangers and treacheries await us. Why, see how it comes upon me here. Before us stands this gentleman, Sirio, well enough in himself, but with his best companion, Pomposa, so near at hand, will he speak a kind word for me? Damnation fall upon him if he does. Favor another at your friend's expense. I have some honor, so must expect that he can no other but condemn me. Give ample voice to my several vices. Hang my name on gossip's gallows to swing in the very breeze that blew your hat from off your revered head last week in the square. For which I pity you, sir. I pity you, and hope for this, that you will pity me.
I do, sir. Indeed I do.
This is ridiculous.
Sir, think of your eldest. She is engaged in love with this very man. Will she break with her hopes and affections of marriage merely for a solitary and assuring word that might make me shine a moment in your best opinion? She would not, nor with the faith I placed in love lead me to request it of her. No, I would plead with her not to adulterate her passions for me. Make light of the man she foolishly adores to do me the courtesy of one favorable phrase. As unbearable pain it would give me, I know that from that quarter I can seek no comfort, sir.
You poor soul.
Father!
Be quiet, you ungrateful girl.
As for these others here, what more can I expect? Tomidio says so little, I cannot think he is possessed of any words that he might spare on my behalf. And his beloved, your middle daughter, is far too busy thinking of herself to think of me.
Why, whatever will you do?
There is but one place I may go. One haven and one heaven thou wilt look down upon me and sing my better qualities, see my kinder nature, know the tenderest of my affections. Of all the world, when no one will, your daughter, Celia, the angel of my questionable soul, will speak some good of me. Say that I was reckless, but not wrong. Protest I never said a false thing, but for some true purpose. I never answered to the devil, but to teach him how to pray.
She is a good girl, isn't she?
The very pattern of the cherubim. But, sir, all elements descend from some first quality, and so I believe that all her goodness, which is all that goodness is, must by parentage appear new as its original. So my only hope is that the grace of her consent to have us married is but the child of yours to see it so. I am too much a fool to ask for anything. But more of one did not I ask for this, your youngest angel for my life.
It is a good request, and I do pity you so.
I thank you, sir. And if my love for Celia has not drawn this pity out of you as though it were life-giving water from the well, do not the loves these other gentlemen bear deserve a similar charity? Consider us, and say that we, excluding this fellow here, may joy to make these ladies our wives, and ourselves the happiest men alive.
This is a great decision, and one that a man should not lightly enter into.
No, sir, it is not.
As worthy as all of you seem, I must defer to one who knows better of these matters than do I.
No, Father, do not.
My dear, it would not be right if I did otherwise.
Father, we beg of you, make your answer now.
I am shocked, Marina, that you of all people would think to ignore the opinion of one to whom you owe your everything, your very life.
Please, Father, I'm sure she will agree.
Indeed, she may, but it may just as well be that she does not. I must ask your mother if she thinks that it is right and appropriately timed that her daughters and mine are to be married.
Is this all, my dear? Why do you worry so? There's not a mother in the world that does not want to see her daughters married.
My darling, you don't know what you are saying. I will follow you in everything, only you will help my father make an immediate decision. Father, be you the master of the house, the ruler of us all, and give us your consent, and do be quick about it.
I am shocked that you should slight your mother so.
Indeed, the mother should be asked. How can any of us demand it otherwise?
My dears, I am glad to see that your suitors hold a higher opinion of a woman's mind than do you.
Exactly. Now go and ask your wife.
Yes, put this matter to rest once for all. Do go and ask her.
Yes, do.
You are all very kind. I will go and ask.
Oh, my foolish darling dear, what have you done?
Sealed your mother's consent to our marriage.
No, you have not.
What do you mean? Of course your mother will agree to see you married.
Those that cannot speak give no consent to even the best of offers.
Our mother died 3 years ago. You see, our father loves her so that he refuses to accept the fact, and he still talks with her in her old and customary hours of the day, as if she was still mistress of the house.
I tried to tell you before you spoke with him, but you were so certain of everything. He will go into the drawing room and talk to the air, and whatever decision he returns with will be his own, born out of his loneliness.
It is a gentle madness.
And yet, its hold on him is strong. At night, he rarely sleeps, but walks the terrace here, recounting to our mother the actions of the day. The windows to my room open there above, and oftentimes I'll come down and beg him to go to sleep, for his solitary talks keep me from our sleeping nearly every night.
Your father will consent to the marriages, excluding Celia to Giovio. Your father's thoughts are clear enough what a scoundrel the match would leave for his son-in-law.
Very well, my dear, very well. Your reasonings are clear, and I understand them absolutely. Well, my dears and good gentlemen, I have your answer.
Your wife is pleased with our proposals?
I have never thought any news could have pleased her half as well.
And she approves of Sirio Tomidio and myself.
And of Signor Giovio. She thinks you all a fine set of suitors as the city could provide.
And she agrees that we should marry.
Never had it in her mind that you would not.
Then she will let us marry?
I am afraid, dear, she will not. You are too young, she says, and will not let you out into the world so soon. Why, Teresa, you are but 17.
But Papa, I'm 20.
17 is far too young. So your mother says, and by my faith in heaven, she is always right, is she not, dear Celia?
You've always believed she was.
You are a very good girl, as are the two of you, my dears. And for you, gentlemen, I regret that I must disappoint you in your hopes. But as you can see, the decision is made. Good luck to you.
Surely that cannot be the only conclusion to us coming here. There must be something that could be done.
I agree with you in so very little, but I must agree in that there's always something that can be done. Celia, go to your father and bring it back. Tell him we have some happy news.
What are you doing? Your scheme's laying matters worse.
We've all just been denied marriage. What could be worse?
Celia could marry Pomposa, that'd be worse. But I sense a way of working this affair to our general satisfaction, excluding this fellow here.
I see no reason to follow any suggestion of yours. I can make the old man follow reason and do a better job of it than you.
And what tactic do you intend to use?
The only one that ever works, the truth.
Yes, that is the only one that works, most often to one's disadvantage.
Gentlemen, my daughter tells me that you have still some joyous news to tell me.
Yes, sir, I do, sir. I hope you're feeling in perfect health.
Why, yes, I feel quite magnificent.
That is good. I am one senior who always tries to keep an excellent temper, no matter what hard news may come my way.
And so you should, for there is always some good to be counted on, no matter how hopeless some other small part of our lives may seem.
My point precisely, sir.
Why, look at me. I have my family.
I was on the verge of mentioning that very thing. Specifically, your wife.
Please, sir, do not.
It is all right, dear, no need.
To think you've conversed with her and received these answers.
I know what you are trying to say.
You do?
That I must be out of my mind.
I'm glad you've said it for me.
That it's lunacy, really.
I'm afraid it looks that way.
That my behavior has traveled so far beyond the bounds of sense and reason.
Yet I'm astonished to hear you speak of it so calmly.
What else can I do? You see, I know that most men would think me mad for conceding to my wife's opinion on this matter, that I'm the man of the house and so forth. But you see, that's just it. As a man, how do I know what's best for a woman? Whereas my wife, as a woman, is best suited to know what's best for our girls. Such a manner of thinking, I think, is sanity itself, and I'm sure you do as well. But I'm glad to see that you are so well fortified against the discomfiture my wife's decision has no doubt laid upon you. And I wish you luck, Senor. I truly do.
Well done. I want to thank you for such a fine display of failure. I sincerely hope that you allow me. Signor Delirium.
Yes, my boy. What is it?
We were near the point of departure, and I remembered that it would be a breach of my courtesy to not bid your wife, the most excellent lady, a sincere farewell. May I be allowed to deliver it myself?
A very gentlemanly remembrance. Of course you may. She's in the drawing room.
Thank you, sir.
That is a very nice young man.
He has the worst reputation in town.
Well, that's nothing, so long as people think well of him.
Oh, madame, you're too kind.
He's always in and out of jail.
Well, of course he is. Jail is such a nasty place. Who would want to stay there for any length of time?
I'm so honored, madame. Yes, I will. Be only too happy to tell your husband. Signor Delirio, your wife is the most delightful woman I have ever had the honor to be acquainted with.
I have loved her since the day we met.
How astonishing, for she said the very same about you.
You embarrass me, sir.
It is a rare thing that after so many years of marriage to hear a wife that still holds her husband in such high regard.
I do not deserve it.
But you do, sir, you do. I let her know that our collective hearts were broken after her refusal to our marriages, especially after you smiled so kindly on the possibility.
I'm very sorry for that.
No, sir, do not be. But you won't believe it. She had no idea that you looked so favorably on the idea. She told me, in her kindest of confidence, that if you thought well of the marriages, she'd be prevailed upon to change her mind, for she could never deny you anything.
She is a dear woman, isn't she?
The dearest, next to my own mother.
Oh, then she must be a marvelous woman, your mother.
Indeed, sir, the best mother I ever had.
Oh, then I should like to meet her.
Excellent. I'll be certain to invite her to the wedding.
Oh, I should like to meet her long before that. In fact, why don't you invite her to visit us today? I'm sure that my wife will never concede to these marriages without first approving of the parents.
Sir, you are solemn among swine. But would it not be wise as well to meet the mothers of these other gentlemen as well? Are they ashamed of their mothers that they will not produce them? A disgrace not to invite their mothers to meet you. Or worse still, are they ashamed of you? Will they marry your daughters and not even condescend to let you meet those saintly and self-sacrificing matrons that gave their every hour of the day to nurse and nurture them?
What are you doing?
Gentlemen, that does it. How dare you refuse to let me meet the women who gave you birth? Unless you have your mothers here to meet me, you will be no sons-in-laws of mine. I will expect all of them to be here this very afternoon. Your weddings will depend on it.
What on earth was that?
My mother lives in Bergamo. She cannot be here this afternoon.
And mine in Palermo.
And mine in Milano.
And mine in heaven. Yet I will have her here by the only method I know.
And what is that?
A bit of trickery, whereby each suitor who this morning played his mother's son, by this afternoon will become the son's own mother. A wig of gray, an old gown, and a cane. Your father expects us to look something like our mothers, and the resemblances will be striking, to be sure.
That is the most idiotic idea I've ever heard. I will not come here dressed as an old woman, not in this nor any afternoon.
The whole scenario is absurd, and I will not submit any part of my dignity to it.
And what about you?
Do you really think that any of us here are like to be married? My poor father. And now what have you done to Celia and the rest? You don't really plan to come here dressed as your own mother, do you?
Of course I do. Besides, I've always wanted you to meet her. But don't fret about it. She'll love you just as much as I do.
I'm sure that every woman in the world will think of me a fool for loving such a silly man as this. And yet, I do. For as much as I know myself, I know that a serious life will be seriously to my disliking.
I wish the author would speak up, as I cannot understand a word the poor fellow is saying.
Father, I must speak to you. It is a matter of oppressive importance.
My dear, I have always found that the best time to discuss anything of importance is after it's too late. By then, since there's nothing left to be done, you save yourself the trouble of having to do anything at all.
But Father, it is about Celia. I think that you should help her make the only and appropriate decision.
Have you ever realized that there is a great problem with books?
Father, I think that you should help Celia make the only rational choice between Signores Giovio and Pomposa, and one that will lead her to eventual happiness.
How does the printed word know what it sounds like?
One of her suitors is known throughout Aviano as the most notorious rogue, yet Celia seems to prefer him to a proper man of proper manners whose own good opinions echoed in those around him.
How do these little lines of ink shaped so shape our mouths into the words we use to speak them?
This is a matter of great concern.
Of supreme concern. Why, how do we know what we are saying unless we write it down? And once we write it down, how do we know it says what it's supposed to say? Indeed, what is it you were just saying?
About Giovio.
Yes, I mean, how does he know he's really Giovio? He does not look like his name, nor does his name look like him, yet wherever he goes they say, "There is Signor Giovio." It is a miracle, isn't it?
Papa, I don't think you know what you were saying.
Yes, and that is exactly what I mean.
Papa, the matter is simple. You must not let Celia marry Giovio.
Perhaps not. But if it turns out that he's not really Giovio, or someone else has got hold of his name, then we might have to reconsider, won't we?
Father, there's someone here to see you.
Should I ask their name?
It is Madame Giovio, the mother of Signor Giovio.
Ah, excellent. The first mother has arrived. Please, dear, show her in.
Father, what if I were to tell you the woman who will come through that door is not Giovio's mother?
Perhaps not, but sometimes I am not so sure that I am myself. But then I remember that you are my daughters, and must presume indeed to be your father, which is, my dear, a great comfort to me.
Papa, this is Signora Giovio.
Absolutely delighted to meet you. My son has said so many nice things.
I am more pleased to hear it than I am to report that no one here seems to have anything kind to say about him.
And that is as it should be.
Really?
I've always thought whatever is loved by all is far too common to be worth anything in the least.
You know, there is something in what you say. Please allow me to introduce you to my eldest daughter, Teresa. I'm afraid she doubts that your son will make an acceptable husband for my daughter. A young gentleman by the name of Sirio has also asked for her hand.
Well, at least I'm here to answer for my son. Will his mother be joining us?
Madame Sirio says she's feeling quite a bit ill.
Oh, poor thing. What is wrong with her?
Gout.
Dear me, that is nothing. My physician, Dr. Colonna, says I have the worst case of the gout he's ever seen on a woman. Just look at my ankles. Have you ever seen anything so large on a woman of my age?
Oh, I know. They're huge.
Painful to look at, aren't they? Yet I knew that my visit to you, Signor Delirium, would be of the utmost importance to my son's happiness. How could I refuse him? Surely that Madame Sirio is a selfish woman to deny her son the benefit of such an easy errand would confer upon a favorite son. Certainly she must have the head of a pig to be so obstinate, and I fear that her son must suffer something of the same.
I assure you he does not. It is merely a case of the gout.
But Giovio's mother has gout, and the god-awfulest ankles anyone has ever seen. And yet she still comes to see me, for which I most profusely thank you.
Only two, please, sir. Only two, please.
I do not see how I can think it well of Signor Sirio if his gout-ridden mother thinks herself so superior above this good lady and myself.
Surely Sirio's mother isn't solely to blame. The mothers of Pomposa and Tomidio aren't here either.
And if I see no reason to be offended. If the ladies do not think you is worthy of a visit, it can be nothing to you.
Not worthy of a visit? I have never in my life heard such an abominable insult leveled upon myself or my family.
Surely there is some mistake. I will go talk to the other mothers and send them here to pay their respects. Celia, will you join me? I am sure Madame Pomposa will need some convincing.
With all my heart, Madame Giovio, I'm going to have to leave you here in the presence of my father.
Not a worry. You'll be perfectly safe here with me. What a lovely girl your daughter is, and so sweetly natured. I think it impossible that my son could have fallen in love with anyone else.
You are very kind to say so. I think of them all, she turned out the best. Of course, I love all three. Does Signor Giovio have any brothers or sisters?
He has many of them.
Really? How many?
After 12, I lost count. I became such an expert at bearing children that I was having 2 a year.
2 a year? That is extraordinary. I thought a woman's pregnancy required a full 9 months.
Well, for amateurs it does. But once you get the hang of it, you can do it in 6. In fact, with Giovio, it only took 5. He was always a quick child from the very start.
Father, I would like you to meet Signor Tomidio's mother.
A pleasure to be sure. Do you know Madame Giovio? She was just telling me the most fascinating facts about her son.
Oh, Madame Tomidio and I are great friends.
Are we?
Of course we are. I've known her since we were little girls.
I'm not so sure.
Not so sure?
Oh, of course, we had a falling out. Used to be the best of friends. Told each other everything. Spent all day talking. But then came that unfortunate disagreement. And now we rarely speak at all. Isn't that right?
I'm so sorry to hear this. What could have possibly come between you two that could have damaged such a consummate friendship?
Oh, why don't you tell us?
I couldn't possibly.
Oh, of course you couldn't. How could you? You see, Signor, it was all my fault. Every bit of it. I take the blame completely.
Oh, really? Is it as bad as all that?
Oh, I am too entirely ashamed. I could not tell you.
Oh, but I must know.
Signor, I beg you.
No, now you must tell me.
Do not implore me, sir. It is, without a doubt, the blackest secret of my soul.
Then it is only the good and Christian thing to do speak and be free of it.
You are sure to hate me when you hear it,
I swear that I will not.
and despise my son for those mistakes which are mine alone, despite the fact that he loves your daughter so.
I will not condemn him, I promise.
Then my only hope is that my honesty will win him a place in your heart.
I will love him as my own son.
That is all I can ask for. And yet, the mention of it will incite this poor woman again. Her rightful fury against will once again inflame against me. I could not bear it.
Surely she will forgive you. Tell me that you will. Swear to me that you will forgive her. I cannot let you leave my house until I have made you friends.
He will bless the marriages between him and his daughter as long as you will forgive me for all the times I called you a spindly and spineless old cat.
Oh, do forgive her.
And for the time I told the neighbors that you were dead and they could rail about you as loud as they wanted.
Do not be ruled by your anger forever.
Or fed your laundry to the horse.
It is a great virtue to show even a little mercy.
Or sold your daughter to the pirates.
You have been bad, haven't you?
They brought her back, and for that you can forgive me.
Oh, do forgive her, I plead with you.
I do forgive you. I do.
Father, what is going on?
It is a miracle. Madame Tomidio has just agreed to forgive Madame Giovio for feeding the laundry to the horse. It is the happiest moment of my life.
Surely this will make you happy as well. Madame Serio has agreed, despite her gout, to come visit you and pay her respects.
Daughter, you have done very well. Now, if you'd be so kind as to let me meet with these ladies in private.
Yes, Father.
Could your daughter stay with us a while? I've grown to take such a liking to her and would love to continue to have her in our company.
I'm afraid that the topic of our talk should be left for our ears alone. Now off, darling.
But I do like her so much.
I'm afraid not.
I'd be much happier.
I'd rather she didn't.
Please?
I'm so very sorry. Be gone, darling.
Yes, Father.
Well now, how nice. It speaks very well of you all that you would agree to come here on your son's behalf. I am very honored.
Sir, you speak truer than you know. Certainly you have heard of Madame Serio.
What are you doing?
Everyone in Rome has been to a performance of the great Madame Serio.
I do not perform.
Oh, I know one has to retire to keep the younger singers from abandoning the field altogether out of professional jealousy. How could the best dream with competing with one as accomplished and famous as you are?
I was never famous, and I do not sing.
The opera is a fallen art ever since you left it, and I'm not the only one in Italy that feels it.
I'm sorry, madame. I had no way of knowing your reputation.
Just think of it, Signor. Your daughter may well be married to the son of an immortal diva, a goddess of operatic stage.
That would be wonderful.
Yes, it would. Your family would be allied with one of the most magnificent names of our time, a soloist of imperial prominence. Certainly this will tempt you to reconsider the marriage, don't you think?
Yes, it might.
Really? I remember the night I saw you in Forgetto di Libretto, Magna Magnifico. You played the young flower girl who fell in love with the donkey. I wept. And your aria in the second act? Signor, you should have heard it.
Oh, I'm so very sorry that I did not.
Signor, until you have heard Madame sing that song, you are a beggar. After, you are a king.
Oh, yes, you must sing it for us.
Surely I cannot.
Oh yes, surely. My daughter married to the son of a celebrated musical genius. The very idea of it. Surely you will not deny me.
My voice is nowhere near what it was so many years ago when Madame Giovio heard me. I cannot.
And yet it would please me ever so much more than when you put us all in raptures so many years ago.
Now that you mention it, it was so many years ago. I don't think I remember how it starts.
I'm sure Madame Giovio remembers how it begins.
I sincerely hope she does not.
Of course I do. One does not forget those kinds of things.
Tell us, how does it begin?
With a few lovely notes on the oboe and a fluttering phrase on the violin, Madame Celia walks on stage and sings Amoro asso mio.
Moroso mio. That's lovely. Please go on.
If I must. Amoro, assomio, endo, when it's a finito, mio gondo, ghetto tuo gutto.
Astonishing!
Papa, this is Senora Pomposa.
Dear heavens, how horrible!
I beg your pardon?
You just missed the performance of a lifetime. Madame Celia was magnificent.
What performance do you mean?
Singing. She was a diva in the opera in Rome.
Don't say.
The very voice of the seraphim could not have sounded sweeter.
What did she sing?
Amoro also mio.
It was wonderful. You're Madame Pomposa.
Senor, I've come to discuss the matter of marriage between my son and your daughter Celia.
Well, I have come here for the very same matter between the very same daughter and my son, Giovio.
Ladies, my wife has not decided if our daughters are to marry yet.
My son will not be denied, nor will I. I must have your word this marriage will take place.
And I agree, sir, but with this wrinkled throne, to have your answer as to whether Celia will marry her son.
Really?
Yes, just be sure that word is no. I would hate the poor girl to be made miserable by marrying a self-important poppycock like him.
And I would hate to see what would happen to your daughter if she married an unscrupuled scoundrel like Signor Giovio.
How dare you say unscrupulous scoundrel? That was very good. I'm proud of you. But still, you have insulted my son, which I cannot forgive. Believe me, my son may be a lot of things, but he's a great deal better than your son, who is next to nothing.
I would not stand by and let my son be slandered by this woman.
Nor would I if I were you, but if you were going to leave, then have it your way. I wouldn't stay here another minute if I were you.
Indeed, why should I?
To have your son's dignity be attacked, it is beneath you. I would quit this house without further ado and gladly.
Exactly. Why should I take another second of this abuse?
1, 2, 3.
You scoundrel! If you weren't a woman, I'd beat you!
You withered old peach pit. I do not fear you. Ladies, my show. Ah. Prepare your dim-witted dame to meet your doom. Ah! Look. Oh. Oh, Madame, the might of your cane has pierced me through, and I fear that I am wounded. So, that's one thing, that I am like to die. Signor Delirium, I beg you to grant me a dying wish.
Anything, dear lady, anything.
And that is to prefer my son over Madame Pomposa's and allow him to marry your daughter.
I'm not sure that I can promise such a thing.
This is ridiculous.
Oh, and I ask you one more thing.
Yes, what is it?
I would like some tea. What about you? Do you like some tea?
Excellent. I will order some tea. What about you?
Well, why not?
I thank you, sir.
Get up, you wretch! I cannot believe this! Will you look at me? This is disgraceful.
Oh, the shame of it. A son embarrassed by his own mother. Oh, what a wigless web we weave.
Give that back. We don't want to be discovered, do we?
I don't want to be here in the first place. This is the most idiotic thing I've ever done. It's all your fault, really.
My fault? Well, if you don't want to be a part of it, then don't.
Well, if that's the way you want it, it's your game. You play it.
By the way, cream and sugar.
Sugar.
Sugar, please. Sugar for me, please.
Sugar too.
Excellent. Sugar all around. Is there something different about your hair?
Give me back my wig.
Let me have that.
Well, all right. I won't be the only one that tells you it makes you look like a moose.
Tea is served. Here's to you, Madame Pomposa. Signor Pomposa! I am shocked. Who is it that has dared to put you up to this unforgivable deception?
It was Celia. He forced me into it.
My sincere apologies.
I'm shocked. Why did this happen? Who did this?
Signor Giovio.
Sir, I just want to thank you for being so kind to my mother.
Why did you do this? I cannot believe this happened. This was a terrible trick.
You're right. It was a terrible trick. And to think, it could have been a truly exceptional trick if I had not been forced to rely on these imbeciles who could not commit to a fraudulent act if their wives depended on it. But, I promise you, sir, next time I play a trick on you, it'll be a really good one, and I'll see to it myself.
There will not be a next time, and I, sir, will see to it myself. What is it that could have dared to put you up to this unforgivable deception?
Only the best intentions, Signor. I've always revered my mother, and have ever sought out to be more like her.
My wife was right to caution me against you. I will not forgive this. My daughters will have to wait until they have aged a little longer and found a better troop of suitors to ask for their hands in marriage. Good day to you. I do not expect nor want to see any of you again.
I hope you're satisfied. If I ever see you on the street again, I swear I will kill you.
Thanks to you, I'll never marry my darling Teresa, and if I see you, I too will kill you till you're dead.
Now, whatever in the world could have made those poor fools so upset? Certainly, there's always a way to alchemize our troubles to advantages. And while I have time enough, and tea, I'll piece together yet another, yet superior scheme that will win these poor fools for Delirium's daughters. And I'll be sure enough that it'll be an enterprise grand enough that'll make any mother proud.
You should have never encouraged him. Thanks to Giovio's antics, not a one of us will be getting married. Father says he'll never see my Sirio again, and I'm afraid that neither will I.
Nor I, my dear Tomidio. We will all end old spinsters and have no one to thank but Giovio.
I am sure you will try to think of some excuse to defend him, but realize our predicament, since the scoundrel has been the ruin of us all.
His antics I will not excuse, and yet the sight of Sirio and Tomato just as their own mothers? Even so, I'd rather not reveal any more reluctant thoughts on our unfortunate condition as to whom my mind says is most to blame.
Who can it be but Giovio? You must admit it.
Yes, you must admit it. Who else could it be?
My own heart saddens at what my mind is thinking, which thinks the fault lies more on our own dear father than with anyone. Our chance of marriage lost may lie in Giovio's tricks, and yet those tricks were fathered by our father's madness. for the fault of one is always reflected in the other. My father's madness stemmed solely from doting on our mother, while Giovio's pranks were doubtless done in love for me. So, with my helpless father and hopeless suitor, might give me reasons to love them less, but did not such reasons teach me twice to love them more.
My dear Celia, I'm sure that you must despise me for refusing to consider these suitors and their proposals. Your sisters are in tears and will barely speak to me.
I hope my sisters will have a better reason to be a better cheer, for I know that marriages were never in your will.
It is not my will alone. Your mother is as adamant as I.
Of course, Father. Our mother, I believe, is the most fortunate woman in the family, perhaps even of the world, to have found a man that loves her so. And I think every day you give her new reason to think so.
I hope I do.
My only prayer is that someday I will find a man who loves me just as much, and makes just as much of me as you do of her. And when such a man is found, I hope that the generosity that made my grandfather give his daughter's hand to you, that you will do as well for me.
When such a man is found for you, believe it that I will. But these men here today are no such men. You deserve, all of you, much better. I must find a man for you who will care for you the way I always have for your mother. Even when she lay in bed sick, I watched over her. I remember as when she lay in bed sick, her fever very high, and I sat next to her day and night, and pressed cool rags upon her forehead, and spoke with her, though she was far too ill to speak with any 3 words together. Then I remember it. Finally, she closed her eyes to sleep. After 4 days of a waking fever, finally she slept. I did not want to wake her. Then something happened that I had never heard of before or since. The birds in the garden, one by one, began to sing. Soft voices at first, but soon they collected into a chorus so loud and long. It was a great while until their frantic music died away.
I do remember it, Father. When Mother closed her eyes, the birds in the garden did start to sing. Do you think Mama will ever know when it's right for us to marry?
It is hard to say, but I am sure that she will be ever so lonely when all of you are gone.
And we too will be lonely for her, won't we, Papa?
I'm sure you will, my dear. I'm sure that you will.
I will go look after my older sisters.
They are very good girls. All of them.
Tell me, good friend, do you know where I may find the home of the noble and well-respected Signor Delirium?
Sir, you have found it and are speaking to the man himself.
And my luck is better than some, for I have come here with very bad news indeed. There's been a murder, or we think a murder, and we think if it is a murder, that its origins may be traced back to this very house.
Surely you do not think I could have done it?
You, sir? No, sir.
Who is it that is dead?
It is a terrible thing to have happen. It is that poor good-for-nothing Giovio.
Giovio? But he was not in this house but 3 hours since.
3 hours since, do you say? Sir, do you have a pad?
Yes, I do.
And pen?
Yes.
Three hours since, you say?
Yes, that's it exactly. What has happened?
Here, senors, what we know so far. We found this wig floating in the river near the harbor.
That is the wig Signor Giovio wore when pretending to be his mother.
Now, why would a man want to pretend to be his own mother?
Because he was hoping to marry my daughter.
Ah, now I see. But, sir, there are witnesses that say that they saw 3 men yelling at Giovio that he was wearing women's clothing and that the 3 men tossed him into the river. The dress became too heavy with water that it dragged him down. So, it appears, thanks to the 3 men in the dress, that Giovio has been drowned. But once we find this dress and the 3 men, you'll be sure that they'll all be hanged.
But there were 3 men in my house here today with Giovio. Their names are Sirio, Pomposa, and Tamidio.
Ah, Signor Tamidio. He is a fierce fellow. This will not be the first time we've had a run-in with him. I thank you, sir. Your information has been most irrelevant.
Glad to be a pub officer, but you must excuse me. I must go tell my daughters of the terrible affair.
It is the saddest truth of human nature that we are never love so well, nor pray so perfectly as when we are dead. But I shall rise again, hopefully to plead my case, for this is but the easier half for what is like to be the last of all my schemings. For I know that when I am married, I'll be forced to become, and gladly, a honest and proper man. So, to some sense, Giovio will die to all that he has been, to have the best of everything he wants. But this afternoon, as this officer, have I been to the homes of Sirio, Timidio, and Pomposa with news that some terrible act has befallen? They are all to rush to the house of Delirium. So cold an accusation that though they swore to kill me, they will joy to see me living again. But I must prepare. Signor Delirio arrives, and the others close behind.
But the officer was here but a moment ago, and it is believed that he was drowned by Signor Sirio, Timidio, and Pomposa for the trick they played on him this very afternoon.
There is no way that can be. There is no way my Syria would have the hand in the death of anyone.
Nor my Timidio. Father, you know he is too gentle to hurt anyone.
I know of no such thing. The officer himself confessed that Timidio is a dangerous and criminal sort of man, and has had many a crossing with the law.
How is this possible?
I do not know. I do not know. But there are witnesses that say that they saw 3 men and that they are responsible. And I'm sure we know that there were 3 men in our house here today who swore to kill Giovio if they ever saw him again in the street. And even though this happened by the river and not in the street, I'm sure that was hardly a reason to stop them. My poor girl, what possible comfort can the words of an old man be at such a time and with such news? Giovio is dead, and it is believed that the other shooters have had him drowned. May the angels above forgive our part in this.
Oh, sister, do not the least imagine that Marina or myself were in any way complicit in his death, but let's profess our innocence.
Your contempt of him was hardly hidden, nor did you concede your hard opinions on him whenever I spoke the least bit in his favor.
Though we detest him, we never spoke a single word that might be mistaken for a wish that he was dead.
But if your almost husbands in their temper toss poor Giovio into the breathless river, half of my hate will fall on you as well.
Oh, Celia, believe us. If any proof of this report is true, and love of the men we love, we shall never love them more, and urge the law to lay his punishment upon him.
And yet you too must bear portion of the guilt, if guilt there is, that you have said is ours. Pomposa's love is sworn to you, and that by your argument, a third of Giovio's murder must acknowledge you as cause.
This much is true, and though it break my heart, I must own every inch of guilt that must be mine.
My dears, we've each of us received some news of some tragic urgency and told to travel to your father's house as soon as our devotions can carry us.
What has happened?
Surely you would know of it.
I cannot imagine.
Signor Giovio is dead.
A policeman came and told our father that 3 men were seen with him and tossed him in the river.
He is drowned. Can you say you had no part in this?
We are, all of us, innocent, but I can tell by your doubtful looks we must find a way to prove it so.
Both the law of the city and our love point to the complicity against the man who had wronged you, while in this very house you had sworn to kill. If ever you thought to live long enough to have a happy marriage, you must find the men who killed Giovio, or at the worst, if the worst is true, confess to what you've done.
This news and our task are heavy ones, but if we are to be deemed worthy to marry these women, we must surely find Giovio by whatever means necessary.
It will be the only way.
Very well then. We must try what friends we have to learn what they know, and try to seek him in the city of life. For if not, they will all may force us to seek him in the afterlife, and beg him to make our innocence known on earth. Or sadly, I am certain we will no longer need it.
I tell you, my dear, it was a very sad thing. Very sad indeed. A boy so young, and I think he loved our Celia. I think he really did. Surely we never could have foreseen that this would happen.
Papa,
Oh, yes, dear.
it is time you went to bed. It is very late. You should sleep.
Time for sleep later. Plenty of time for that later. But you should get some rest. The night air is bad for a girl so young.
Papa, it's very hard for me to sleep with you wandering around down here, making noise.
Your mother and I have much to discuss, but I promise that we will speak more softly so that our angel may get her rest.
I'd rest easier if you would go to bed.
How are your sisters?
Celia has cried herself to sleep, and Teresa rests, but fitfully. I'm going up, Papa. Don't be long.
I won't, my dear, I won't. 3 very beautiful girls. That's what we have, my dear. 3 very beautiful girls. And so eager to marry.
Signor Delirium.
Do not bother me now. It is very late.
Too late. In fact, too late for me.
Who are you?
I think you know me.
It cannot be. You are Signor Giovio.
I am the ghost of Giovio, returned from my murky grave to nightly walk your terrace.
Murky?
Murky.
I am very sorry to hear this, but still I am not sure. How can I be certain?
What proof do you require?
If you were a ghost, then I should be able to put my hands through you.
Here, that is easily done. Pass your hand through the vision that is my body.
Ugh, I cannot do it. I'm too frightened.
And close your eyes.
Indeed. I will close my eyes.
Now, Signor Delirio, receive your proof and pass your hand through my body.
Ugh, dear me, you are indeed a ghost. But why is it that you have come? Surely not to punish me for your death.
Don't be silly. No one blames you for my death. You were too nice to me before I died.
I was, wasn't I? And I'm glad you see it that way. But then, why is it you have come?
For the saddest of reasons. I'm afraid, old sir, that I am still in love with your daughter and will not leave her even for the afterworld. Could such a man as you, but so constant and aged, understand a man that would not want to give up on the woman that he loves, even after death?
I do, Sir Ghost, and yet I hope you do not intend to make it a frequent practice of haunting my terrace, my daughter, or myself. In fact, I think it better that you do not.
And why is that?
Because the living should be with the living, and the dead with the dead.
Does your wife believe this?
I do not know.
I was held to her opinion once I sued for your daughter's hand, and will hold to it once again in this. I will come here every night and talk to you and sit until you can tell me her answer.
Every night?
I have very few appointments. Besides, Signor, I like you, and there's worse company for a dead man to keep.
I think you are here to haunt me because I would not let you and the others marry, and because of that, they drowned you. I am to blame in lending them their reason to murder you.
Rest your mind on that case. My death came not by Sirio, Tomato, or Pomposa. They are guiltless of it, and thereby you are absolved of guilt as well.
Then they are not murderers, nor am I.
Nope. I slipped and fell. That's the worst of it. Killed by my own clumsiness.
I am very glad to hear it. Then if Sirio and the rest are not murderers, then they are free to marry my daughters. But I'm not sure. What do you think of them, Signor Giovio's ghost?
Of Sirio, he has no humor in him. Therefore, he knows not how to be happy. But your daughter's love will make him so. And in this somber sort of joy, he will not need to care how to laugh, or how many laugh at him.
And of Timidio.
Your Marina speaks endlessly for her passions for him, and yet his passions leave him endlessly speechless. Search the world at will. You will not find a better match than this. So let them solemnize in church for what nature has done on its own. And that is the making of but one voice between them.
And of your rival, Signor Pomposa.
I like him the least of the three. And yet, I must confess that I agree with him that your daughter, Celia, is of all earthly things the most worthy to be loved. Sir, I have already lost my life, but that is nothing. Were she to marry him, I would lose everything. Certainly you can understand the marrow, the meaning of such a loss.
I understand it well. And now I'm very sad that you are dead, for I think our talk together proved what my intuition murmured all along, that you were likely the best suitor of them all. For your love dared almost everything to prove itself. What great fun it would have been to have had you as a son-in-law.
Well, you will have small chance of missing me now, for you have given me 2 reasons. My constant love for Celia, and the keeping of your company. I'll haunt here every night. I would not want you to be alone, sir.
But I am not alone. I have my daughters.
But once you have crossed with me to this ghostly region, and they remain unmarried, will they not too then be left alone?
I had not thought of that.
And yet, if they marry, what company and comfort would be had? 3 daughters with children of their own. Certainly that would populate the house of Delirium.
My wife, I know, would love that.
Then why deny her such a certainty of joy? Does it not follow that your daughters need to be married for no other inspiration but your wife's own happiness?
Indeed, it must be so, and according to my wife's desire. I thank you. You are a very good ghost. I hope you do not think it too meanly of me, but I have grown very tired and should get some rest.
By all means, go to bed. Perhaps we'll talk tomorrow.
If you wish. Good night.
Good night.
Good Sir Ghost, I must ask a favor of you and hope that you do not think it too wrong for the living to ask some trouble of the dead.
What is it you would ask?
If you should happen to see my wife, do be kind enough to tell her that I miss her.
Ever a clown were close to tears. I'm now ashamed of my own ruse, and wish indeed that I were dead for no other purpose but to run such an errand for this dear old man. But for the time I must remove my tatchers and ghostly clothing to be none other than myself, and Giovio again, or at least nearly so. I have played this part and must see if in this gamble, if I have won or lost the precious prize. The sun arrives now at city's edge, and nature's own divinity, an example of my nature's own. Who else but to make light of everything? All men are brothers, most in being foolish. Yet here comes one who may be more a brother than ever a fool, as I can hope.
Dear heavens, how can you be here? We had all been told that you were dead.
Well, you were wrong in hearing that I was dead, but dead right in finding me here.
It is a blessing to learn that you're alive.
Indeed, no man has ever said as much to me.
Tomato, we cannot find him anywhere. It is certain that poor Giovio is dead.
Our collective cause is lost.
The first thing we find seems always in the last place we look. Gentlemen, you have sought out and found me here, at the source of where our troubles began.
Thank all the angels you're alive.
And with all our hopes of being married to the daughters of Delirium. But to you, sir, my appearance can't be so holy and good as it cuts in half your chances with Celia alone.
That is true, sir, but I would not have rejoiced to have found you dead. Though it is no secret my mighty opinion of myself. I will humble my prospects in this case. But hopefully you'll agree that it is Celia, not her sisters nor her impassioned father that should decide for her, and that wherever her choice may fall, the others shall step aside. Will you agree to this?
With all my heart, sir.
Gracious God, can it be that my eyes might wish of making it so? It is Giovio, and he is alive.
All praise and thanks should go to these three gentlemen who have sought out all night and brought me here before you. If ever you laid any faults on them, just know that they were false. They are only guilty for an excessive love for each of you.
Bless you, sir, for saying so.
Signorina, there was news that I was dead, but was forced out of heaven because I was too bad, and hell already had its devil, so I was forced to return, to be none other than myself. Some here are happy to see it so. I hope you are as well.
I will stand firm to our bargain, though it is clear that I've lost. Lady, I repel my offer of marriage, not for a different estimation of your beauty or your worthiness, but for knowing where your true affections lie. I wish you happiness. To you, my friends.
And if our run of fortune keeps its present course, for our nearing nuptials, I will need some good soul to stand as my best man.
I will hold the honor for myself, if you'll allow it. But for now, good luck and farewell.
And yet, if Father doesn't change his mind allowing us to marry, our joy is brief.
With our innocence confirmed, your father can no other but make us wait, and there is joy in knowing that there is a greater joy to come.
Has the morning grown as late as that? Why are there so many here so early?
Papa, there's great news. Giovio's alive.
That is nonsense, my dear. At some considerable length, I spoke with his ghost just last night. Poor soul, he loves you deeply. I told him to go, but he was quite adamant to stay.
Father, he's standing here before you.
Exactly. He was standing here in that ridiculous dress, dripping with seaweed. A sorry sight, but for a ghost in very high spirits.
But sir, I'm right here.
This is impossible. How can you be alive this morning when I spoke with your spirit just last night? Is it possible for a man to have a ghost before he is dead? I have never heard of such a thing.
Perhaps you were dreaming.
Yes, perhaps you were dreaming.
Perhaps it was just a dream, and yet it seemed so real. Well, I did sleep better tonight than I have on any night these past 3 years. Well, dear boy, you made a very fine ghost.
Not a surprise, for half the town has said I'd please them better if I were dead.
And I'm sure you'll make a very fine son-in-law as well.
Can you have changed your mind allowing us to marry?
As soon as possible. I will not be alive forever, and I want grandbabies from each one of you everywhere. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And I hope you can do it in as little as 6 months.
I assure you, sir, it will take the customary 9.
Very well, very well.
But, Papa, have you consulted Mama on this? What will she say?
I'm sure that she will send her blessings down from heaven.
Indeed, Papa, I'm sure she will.
Now go off with you and into the house. There are many things to be done in preparation. So many to be married and never enough time.
Thank you, sir.
Well now, I'm glad that you are dead. You're not dead, for I think you are wonderful, but I had originally thought that you were not serious enough for my daughter.
That might be true, where there is not a serious thought worth the world in your daughter. That is, that she is all the world to me.
As it should be, as it should be. Now go on in with the rest, or else Marina will make all the decisions, and I will have to have special arrangements made to serve your pleasures as well.
Kind counsel from a kind father. Come, my love.
Well, my dear, this is the last time I will come for you for advice. I have given all of our daughters' hands away in marriage to men whom I think will love them very much. Still, I wish you were here to tell me if what I have done is wise.